45, welcome to today's story time. So we're up to chapter 45 today. In the last chapter, Addy had gone outside the building, even though he wasn't meant to rescue something that he saw in the bushes. A blucher managed to grab hold of his foot, but he managed to escape and he brought back with him a cat. So let's find out what's going to happen afterwards. See what's happened with the cat. Chapter 45. Oh, what are you going to call him, Addy? Dory asks me as she scratches the pink skin of his tummy. The cat is lying on his back in a little patch of sunlight on the sofa in between us both. Dory was delighted when she heard how I'd rescued him. You are made of stern stuff, Addy, she tells me, and she insists on feeding the cat one of our tins of tuna before Obi stops her and says that cat food will do well enough. Obi sends me off to a couple of flats whose owners used to own cats, and soon I filled my rucksack with tins of cat food and bags of little fish-shaped biscuits. I also find a litter tray and a sack of tiny white stones to fill it with. The litter is heavy and I have to keep stopping to rest while I carry it. I wonder about asking Obi to help me, but even though he didn't shout at me, I think he's still a little bit annoyed that I left the tower and brought back a cat with me, so I don't ask him. I'm not sure. What do you think? I say. How about Blutchy? Says Dory. Because he survived the Blutchers, he's quite the hero, isn't he? How about Mystery? Says Obi. Why, Cat? What is it about him that stops the spores from affecting him? He looks at the cat suspiciously and then shouts out, "Oh!" as it jumps right onto his lap. "Get off! Get off!" says Obi, but the cat ignores him and settles himself down comfortably. Obi's right. It's odd that the spores didn't kill him. I wonder if there are other animals out there who have not been affected either. I can't think what he should be called. There are lots of names I could have easily called him, like Smoky or Misty, because he's got a soft grey colour with darker stripes from his nose to his tail. But I've always had this funny idea that animals already have names that their mums have given them, and when humans come along and give them a new one, they don't like it very much. I know I wouldn't like it being called anything else other than Addy. I think he needs to show me what his name is, and then that's what we'll call him. But I feel a little silly telling this to Dory, because no one else seems to think that. Oh, you must name him, Dory says. He's yours now. It will come to you. Look how he follows you all over the room. He knows he belongs to you. Dory starts humming the same tune she was singing this morning and goes into the kitchen to make some tea for us. Even Ben seems to like the cat. He came to Dory's too to see how I was, but he hasn't left. He spent a long time tying bits of balled up paper and corks to a piece of string, which he's dragging across the floor for the cat to chase. It's the first time that all four of us have been together without having a meal to eat before us. There's normally so much to do that we don't really spend time together unless we're eating. My skin feels a bit scratchy from the antifungal powder that Obi made me put on. It turns out the little room next to the outside door is where we get decontaminated if we ever go outside. That basically means to get the spores off if there are any of us on us somehow. Obi wrote it down for me to put in my book when we got back upstairs. Obi had set up the room just before he went to the other tower where he found Ben and Evie. First, you have to take off all your clothes and put them in a plastic bag, which you then put into another plastic bag and then put into another bin bag. When you are completely naked and feeling a bit cold by then, you close your mouth and eyes really tight and cover yourself with the antifungal powder. I mean, really cover yourself all over. And then, when you think you're done and finished, you do it again. I looked as white as anything. By the way, Obi was telling me what to do from outside the room by shouting through the doorway. He didn't see me do any of this. Then you have to wait for 10 minutes just in case. That was the worst bit, because you just want to go home and sit on the sofa or go and have something to eat at this point. But you have to just stand and wait in the middle of the room feeling shivery for what feels like a long time. But it's a small price to pay for not bringing spores in, I guess. And at least I had the cat with me, who also needed a good coating of powder. He kept licking it off though, and then shaking his head afterwards as if to say, "This tastes bad, but I can't bear to have this powder on me." After that, you can take 1 or 2 towels out of the cupboard to cover yourself with, and you can come out. Obi decontaminated himself after me, and while he did that, I went through the swing doors into Obi's room where he told me to help myself to some clothes. They were all far too big for me, of course, but it was just until I went back upstairs to get some of my own. When Obi was dressed and he had sealed up the doors and the plastic sheet properly again, he decided it was a good idea to salt the corridor floor. Just in case, he said. He was saying those words a lot today. We spent a lot of time pushing the salt over the floor to cover it, and then we came up to Dory's flat where we've been ever since. Obi didn't speak to me a lot while we were clearing up the basement. I wanted to say, "Will you cross with me, Obi?" but I couldn't quite bring myself to say the words. In the end, I just asked him a question. I asked about something that was on my mind because I thought it might be on his too, and I wondered if that was why he wasn't talking. "Obi?" "Yeah." Why did that blutcher hold on to me like that? They don't eat humans, so why did it hold on to my leg?" "Oh, yeah, I was wondering about that too," Obi said. I wonder if that's something to do with that little friend of yours." "What, Gaia?" "No, Addy," said Obi gently. "The cat. You were holding him when the blutcher attacked you, right?" I nodded. We both looked at him playing with his own shadow in a square of sunlight coming through one of the windows. Let's have a closer look at him. Go and get him, Addy." I went over and picked him up. He immediately started purring into my shoulder. He was such a friendly cat. "Now, let's see, what's this?" He fingered a thin, grubby red collar around the cat's neck. He took it off carefully and moved it around in his hand until we could see the little metal buckle. I'm not sure, but I think they were after that." "But it's so tiny," I said. "They're hungry," Obi said grimly. We didn't speak about it again. We spent most of the rest of the afternoon just sitting in Dory's flat, eating a tin of ginger biscuits that I found a week ago and playing with the cat. Obi and Ben look really tired for some reason, and they sit slumped onto the sofa for quite a while as Dory fusses over the circle of bruising around my leg where the blutcher had held on to me. To take my mind off it, Dory makes us all sit round the table together and play a new card game which she calls Memory. She lays all the cards face down on the table so its entire surface is covered. Then you have to turn over one card for everyone to see and then pick up another to see if you can find the same card in a different suit. If you can find a pair, then you take those and put them on your pile. The game goes on and on. Ben, Obi and I aren't very good at it, and Dory keeps finding all the pairs. Then suddenly Obi starts picking out lots of pairs until he's got quite a large pile, and then Ben and I find a few each too. When we finish the game, everyone gets quite excited about who will pick up the last few cards. Ben laughs out loud when Obi picks up the wrong card. The cat lies sleeping on my lap, warm and soft. And in those few hours, I forget that only earlier in the day, I've been quite sure that I was about to die.